Hi, I'm Jesse, the owner of ShrinkRC.com. We make body mounts and accessories for scale RC crawlers. And we specialize in 1/10 scale hard bodies, even though lately we've come out with a couple of new products that are not 1/10 scale and one that's not even for a hard body. But today what I'm here to talk to you about is a major change that has happened, and that is that RC4WD has released a Scottsdale Chevy truck that is already a Chevy truck. Now, if you've been paying attention and you follow the scale RC world, you already know this, but I wanted to give you my impression of it and talk to you about why you might still want to do your own conversion or why you might want to just go ahead and grab this one. So let's get into it. A lot of people know of us because of making conversions and conversion parts where you could take an RC four-wheel drive Chevy Blazer, cut the bed off of it, add an extension to it, add a cab back to it, do some body work, and create your own Chevy truck like this one. Well, you don't have to do that anymore because RC four-wheel drive is selling a Scottsdale now. Let's talk about this Scottsdale. This comes on the RC four-wheel drive TF2 long wheelbase chassis. It's not particularly a long wheelbase Chevy truck. It's just the long wheelbase of the TF2 chassis that RC four-wheel drive offers. It comes in this blue color. It's a slight purple to it, almost like a Yamaha blue. And I like the color a lot. It's not an original Chevy truck color, but they did a great job on the paintwork, and they have it with these rally wheels, which are really nice. Those would translate to about an 18-inch wheel. They're 1.9s. The body's about 1 to 9.5 scale. So in my mind, these wheels are about an 18-inch rally wheel. So if that's what you like, 18 on here, then these are a great fit on here. I think they look really good. I'm actually not going to leave them on this truck because my plan is to switch this into a dually. We make dually fenders that I used to offer for doing these conversions and still do, but they're also going to fit perfectly on this truck. And I have those dually fenders in single wide and double wide. The single wide is like a stock dually fender that comes on a Chevy truck, and the double wide is just like it sounds. It's twice as wide and will fit a wider, bigger tire. I think I'll go ahead and get my dually wheels and tires set up on here first. And then after I do that, I'm going to take a look, take some measurements, and decide which one of our dually fenders I want to put on here. Not sure if I'll put a hood scoop on that one. We already have a hood scoop on this one, and I like to have each truck be a little bit different. But one of the things I'm definitely going to do is change out the seats in here. These are still coming with the bucket seats as came in Blazers originally, but the Chevy trucks didn't come with bucket seats. They came with bench seats. And we have always had a bench seat for the Chevy truck, and I can show you that here. That's what our bench seat for the Chevy truck looks like. And I'm going to go ahead and grab another one of those bench seats out of our inventory, and I'm going to wind up cutting out the buckets that are in here and putting in one of those bench seats. I'm going to leave the bed the length that it is, so I'll have kind of a short bed dually set up. One of the things that I wanted to talk about as far as comparing when you make your own Chevy truck out of a Blazer versus buying the one from RC four-wheel drive, one of the very few things about this that I would nitpick, and it bugs me maybe just because I'm so familiar with it. It bugs me just a little bit, but not enough for me to go through the extra work. There's no separation, there's no gap between the cab and the bed. They went ahead and locked the bed up into the cab like they do on a couple of their other models. You can see them. Oh, this Toyota Mojave two-door does the same thing. There's no real gap between the bed and the cab. If you do your own conversion using our parts, you would put a cab in the back and then you'd put an extension on the bed. And so you actually wind up with a real gap, like a real Chevy truck, between the bed and the cab. Now that's a minor detail to most, but to some people, that little bit of difference in scale realism is enough for them to want to do a conversion like this. Another reason you might want to do a conversion like this instead of getting this one is if you wanted to do a longer bed, like a real Chevy long bed truck. Now, as I mentioned, I'm just going to make this one sort of a short bed dually. I think those have a cool look. I like this wheelbase, and that's what I'm going to go with. But if you wanted to make yourself something with a longer bed, we have bed extensions for this in almost every length you can think of. I've got like 10 different lengths. One, in fact, that leaves it super short where you don't even extend it over this length. It keeps it the same length. Then we have a 12-inch wheelbase, a 12.3, a 12.6, a 12.8, all the way up to around 13.9-inch wheelbase. So you have a lot of options with the length of your wheelbase when doing this setup. Those bed extensions won't work quite right on this setup, and part of the reason for that is if you look at the way our conversions work, they use the original 2 holes from the body here. This Blaze got 2 holes in the body right here, and we reuse those 2 holes when we do the conversion, and then we provide 2 bed mounts for the bed in the back. You can see those 3 screws that are back there, and those screws hold the bed mount. Those mounts hold the bed separately from the cab. But if you look at the way they designed the new truck, there's 1 hole here in the cab and 1 hole back here on the bed. So if you go and split this and start separating it out, you're now going to have to do some custom stuff because you won't be able to secure that cab the way you can here with these 2 screws. The chassis that this comes on is the TF2, and TF2s are known for being stiff out of the box. There's things you can do to make that softer. You can remove the internal springs on the shocks. You can remove 1 or more of the leaf springs. There are aftermarket leaf springs that you can buy for these. So, and you can even go in and bend and work the existing leaf springs that are on here to make them softer and sit a little bit lower and flatter. So there's a lot of things you can do to make adjustments to this. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about with this new Scottsdale. And please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I'll be glad to help you out. Thanks for watching. Peace.